PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture. We're the podcast that covers everything pop culture and beyond the multiverse. Are you ready to get your geek on? Crank up the DeLorean, warm up the proton packs, toss a coin to your Witcher, and deep dive into your favorite plate of chimichangas. This is PopXcast.
You are listening to PopXcast, where science fiction meets pop culture.
Here we go!
PopXcast.
I was born in it, molded by it.
PopXcast. No strings on me. Autobots, transform.
I'm Batman.
By the power of Grayskull. PopXcast.
We're doomed.
Goal here at Tyrell. More human than human is our motto.
Here's Johnny. Never had a pet pony. Hasta la vista, baby.
PopXcast.
Captain's log supplemental.
Negasonic Teenage. What the
I am the one who knocks.
Excelsior, and welcome to PopXcast, episode 124 for June 13th, 2021. What is up, Team PopX? How in tarnation are you doing?
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everyone. It's so good to see you guys tonight. Oh, my gosh. Dude, I got to tell you, I got to stop for a second. I Talk Marvel is literally, he was the first in the chat. He was getting the chat amped up. I think, I seriously think he had a triple shot of espresso before he came in here tonight.
I think he comes in early to save seats. He like puts a hat here, a jacket over there.
Yeah.
He wants to make sure he has enough seats for all of
A
his
tesseract
friends.
here, a time stone there. Just
the
to kind
shield and
yeah,
yeah.
I get you. Yeah, some katana
I think that's
blades.
what's going on.
I like that. Well, I Talk Marvel. We see what you do, man. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. And the chat room is hopping right now. Before we even got off to the start, it's crazy. We got Deborah Watson from San Diego tuning in right now. I Talk Marvel. We love you. Lucia, what's up from the Haps team, official Haps.tv social media team. It's good to have you here, Lucia. Very cool. And a host of others. John Poffenbarger. Okay, hello, buddy. How you doing?
OG.
OG in the hizzle. Luke McCracken all the way up from Canada, regions and parts unknown up there in the big North Country. Good to have you on board tonight. Guys, this is going to be a fun one. We get to literally sit here for about 25, 30 minutes and just talk Loki, and I'm pretty happy about that.
You know, whenever it comes to Marvel,
Yeah.
we can talk for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
We
a
can
little
unpack
bit.
it.
You know, between the three of us, I think seriously we could probably talk for like 8 hours straight and just BS our way through a bunch of like crazy stuff from the Marvel world. And no, we're not talking about like WandaVision. Remember how WandaVision got crazy and off the tangent and off the sides, and everybody's like, it's who was the big villain? Everybody's wanting to say
It's Mephisto.
it's Mephisto. No, it's
Everyone's Mephisto.
I thought it was Agatha after all.
It's so good. It's so good. Oh my gosh. So Austin Burke, I want to give you a huge congrats, man. You are almost at 90,000 on YouTube, dude. We have been cheering you on in your on section, dude. I'm so proud of you. What you're doing. You're kicking some butt, bro. You're kicking some butt.
Thank you.
How's the moving process going?
Well, it's going. We're as you can see, we're saving the YouTube studio for last. So we have to be out of the apartment by June 30th.
Okay.
So maybe by the time our next show rolls around, you'll be seeing me in a new location in my new studio. So
Nice.
Work in progress.
Nice. Look at that. June 27th, we could be seeing some new digs for the Burkinator.
You.
I like it. I like it a lot. Oh my gosh. So anyway, Lindsay, what's new in your world? How's things? You have been like doing creative stuff like a boss.
Oh
lately?
my gosh. I decided to take on a new art challenge this month called June Tune. So I have been drawing every single day without missing a beat.
Yeah.
Joe is joining along. A couple of buddies over on Haps is also playing along too. Thanks to all of the lovely supportive community over there. We've really been having a good time bonding over this challenge.
It's been pretty fun to be a part of that and seeing everybody's process. And so a huge shout out to our friends over at Haps. But let's get this show kicked off here, guys, shall we? Let's roll in. Let's get it done. Austin Burke, lead us off.
I am ready. Hey guys, welcome to PopX, where science fiction meets pop culture. I'm Austin Burke, the Appalachian geek at heart. We'd like to welcome everyone joining us live in the PopX.live chat room. Come hang out with us and join the conversation at PopXcast.com. If this is your first time tuning into PopX, the first 15 minutes or so, we run down the headlines since our last show, and then we deep dive into all things nostalgic on retro, rewind, and let me tell you, today's packs a punch. You see what I did there? At the halfway point, I follow that up. Then we will inevitably hit on the show's topic. So you don't have to run away right now if you haven't seen Loki, but eventually we're going to dive into spoilers. Get ready for that.
I bow to your nerdiness, Austin son.
Packs a punch.
Austin son.
I'm done.
Austin,
I'm retired.
You're so special. Daddy's little gem. Anyway, I'm Joseph Burke, Central Florida.
Oh boy.
Central Florida. You stop it. Stop it. I am Joseph Burke, Central Florida's seasoned comic book nerd and a retro enthusiast. Now, I want to let you guys know a little something that we're doing. Lindsay and myself, and a host of many other creatives in our weekly live streams, the creative multiverse has landed officially on Haps.tv. Now, if you don't know what Haps.tv is, it's a brand new platform that is allowing people like ourselves, creatives, to come together in community and just do what we love to do, and that is create. It's pretty awesome what we're doing, and I want to let you guys know it's 100% free to join. They're not sponsoring us by any way. We're just giving them a shout out because we love them.
We just love them a lot.
But there's a reason. There's a reason why I'm doing this. Immediately after tonight's show, you can join Lindsay and myself on the Creative Multiverse at 11 p.m. Eastern. This is the after show of PopX, the official after show of PopX. So if you want to come hang with us on camera, talk to us, watch us create, and do some fun stuff, we will post that link before the end of tonight's show in the chat. You guys can join, and we would love to have you there. And join the Creative Multiverse and see what we do when we're not on camera at PopX.
It's a lot of fun.
That's all I got to say about that.
It's a lot of fun.
I'll post that link later.
Play.
I swear.
All right. Well, I'm Lindsay Badger, the favorite geeky yoki, at least here around these parts. They are. I am anyways. So, if you guys missed our last episode, number 123, 123.
I see what,
guys.
I see what you did there.
123, we covered MODOK, the series over on Hulu, and we retro rewinded Top Gun. So that was a lot of fun. Make sure you go over to our official website at popxcast.com to watch that replay and all of the other great replays from our past shows of the collective PopX archive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Also, if you like what you're seeing here tonight, please do us a favor and slam that thumbs up button, the like button, and throw a little subscribe towards our way over here on the YouTubes. We schedule new shows, and as soon as we do it, you'll know all about it if you turn on that notification bell. So you need to get all up on that because you know you want more PopX goodness, right?
Get all up on it, man.
Yeah, get all up on it. Also, if you are visiting us in the podcast format, make sure to please go give us a 5-star review and rating and all the love, because you know you like the geeky goodness just like we do, right? So yeah, go show us some love. That's all I got.
He's broken.
Let's go into the news.
He's broken. I think Austin's in Westview right now.
Slap a high five. Maybe that'll help.
Can you toss a coin to your Witcher?
Toss a coin to your Witcher.
Did you need your binky?
Oh boy.
I couldn't hold it after that. That was it.
You're welcome. I figured that would get you. It does every time. All right, guys, don't go anywhere. PopX News is coming your way right now.
Extra, read all about it. This is PopX News, coming to you live right here on PopXcast.com.
All right, Austin Burke, you have the honors, Sensei.
Oh, little Indiana Jones action off the bat. So filming is underway on the highly anticipated Indiana Jones 5 movie, and a number of photos from the set have already started to pop up online. Images of Harrison Ford have previously appeared, and now another has arrived that offers a hint at the villainy he's facing. First noticed in the video full of images, and the contents shouldn't surprise fans of the series, as yes, Nazis will play a part in the film.
Dang Nazis.
It's Nazis. One thing that is perhaps worth noting is that many have theorized that the film's opening will be a flashback sequence to the 1930s or 40s. Photos of Ford on set with dots on his face, oh yes, have prompted speculation that he's being digitally de-aged. Wow, for this film, at least part of the movie. Now, it would perhaps make sense for the new film to open with a flashback scene, something it previously did in 1989's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Love that movie, by the way. When a young River Phoenix played a young Henry Jones Jr. to a point when the Nazis were an active group, perhaps setting up their return in the larger narrative. So, Joe, what do you think about this?
I think it's going to be great. I feel that Indy 5 could right all the wrongs that Indy 4 did not kind of capitalize on, if that makes sense. I'm trying to, give a lot of respect to Lucasfilm and the Indy franchise here. I'm trying to be... Indy 4 was a little bit of a stinker in terms of that. I mean, Harrison Ford, of course, is Indy all day long, but it was a little wonky on the storyline. We'll just leave it at that. But I am excited for Indy 5. I hope they go back to the roots of just like how Indy conquers and overcomes and outsmarts and outwits the Nazi regime, and just how he infiltrates their little world. And I go back to when him and Sean Connery were in the scene of the burning house, and they're strapped together back to back, and the house is burning down. It's just so Junior, what? Junior, what? Junior. It's just that is what I'm hoping to get to see in this film. I'm hoping to see some of that, not on a comedic banter, but Indy and Harrison just owning those roles together. I just think it's going to be great. I want to see that. I don't want to see all the science fiction and the nuance. Just tell the story, You look at the previous 3 films in the franchise up before 4. They were the objects in which they chased were very real and very tangible. You know what I'm saying? A crystal skull with a UFO is a little weird. And then you got Shia LaBeouf, which is a whole new level of weird. But having said that, I just hope they keep the main thing, and let Harrison do what Harrison does best.
I think it's Harrison's turn to take a trip into the Fountain of Youth machine. We've had Leia be de-aged. We've had Luke be de-aged. And now it's time for Han, except he's Indy this time. So it'll be all right. I just hope that they don't overuse it. Yeah. Because that's where it starts getting weird. Yeah. As long as if they do it in the right way, it can really be a great selling point.
Yeah. If it's done in a minute way that's not like half the movie with de-aged Harrison.
I have faith that Lucasfilms is
ILM will do a good job with it, I'm sure. So what are your thoughts in it, Austin? How do you feel about Indy 5?
For me, it's James Mangold. That's the name, the director from Logan, and most recently Ford v Ferrari, coming in and, taking over for Spielberg. That's a big job, but if anyone's going to do it, and look what he did for Logan in his last movie, maybe apply a similar independent budgeted feel to Indiana Jones, but also keeping what makes us love it with action adventure, man. He's a phenomenal director, so that is what has me excited. James Mangold.
Do you feel like this is going to be like the wrap-up movie, or are we going to get like an Indy 15?
I think it will wrap it up. If it does anything, I think it sets us up for spinoffs, because they have that property, and Disney's going to want to use it. So I think
for everything it's
up
got
for something. Yeah.
Might as well. People will buy it. So there you go.
Yeah, they will.
Yes, they will. All right, Lindsay Badger, what do you got?
All
for
right,
us?
well, talking about things not getting spinoffs, less than a month after the series premiered, Netflix revealed that it is scrapping plans for a second season of Jupiter's Legacy and abandoning the Mark Miller-based project for a different plan. Rather than continuing the story that ended on a cliffhanger, Netflix will take another Miller creation, Super Crooks, and turn it into the second season, effectively making Jupiter's Legacy an anthology show based on various Miller-themed properties. Interesting turn. After this sudden change / cancellation was announced, many assumed that the series was canceled because of the viewership, but it's apparently a much bigger deal than that. The show went through a major change as the original showrunner, Stephen DeKnight, was replaced by executive producer Sang-Kyu Kim. According to the outlet, DeKnight and Netflix clashed on the budget for the show. After the change in the regime, both Jupiter's Legacy and Netflix itself, the series found itself in an extensive post-production timeline with Dark Crystal and Lupin director Louis Leterrier and brought him in as a consultant. However, ahead of its pause in production, the long post-production, the series reportedly had a $130 million budget, which ballooned to $200 million by the end. So somebody did some overspending.
Somebody broke the bank on that end.
Oopsies.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Crystal, I mean, that got canceled as well. I'm kind of sad by that because I truly enjoyed the first season. I thought it was just a beautiful, my gosh, what they were able to do with puppetry and visuals was just stunning. It's sad. I know it's a lot. It's one of those type of productions that is very cumbersome, very painstaking to get the scenes, the sets, the puppets, and the puppeteers. Right. It's not easy to film something in that perspective. I get that, but very sad to see that go. And getting back to Jupiter's Legacy. Go ahead.
I know here on PopX, we kind of had mixed reviews and feelings about the Jupiter's Legacy series, and most of it had to do with the actual storytelling line. It wasn't actually the characters themselves or anything like that. So I think it's interesting that they're kind of taking a different angle and attacking and featuring other stuff that Miller has. I
really wish that they would have just allowed some room for the season and the story and the characters to expand further.
Yeah.
We never got that. I mean, it did leave on a cliffhanger, and we don't know what happened. And I feel that to truly give a series of that caliber justice, I mean, there was some great production involved in that show.
Oh, yeah.
And
there's definitely some good stuff.
I feel that season 2 could have probably taken what didn't work in 1 and just catapulted it to new levels and heights. But, they didn't do that. They just you know what, we're just going to create a spinoff show, and it's going to be an anthology of the original season. I'm so mixed on that. And we I think believe around the 6.5, 6.8 was like the overall PopX rating, which is not bad. It's not bad. I mean, we've rated stuff on this show that's a lot worse. And I just felt it didn't, I don't know, man. I don't know what Netflix
land,
thinks.
I think, the way they wanted it to.
It landed with an audience. The show has an audience.
It does.
And it was like number 1 for a solid week on Netflix. That means a lot of views. A lot of people have to watch it to own that number 1 slot on the top 10 list. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it too. I wanted to see where it went.
Well, and it's a bummer too, because a lot of my favorite shows, and not that this would have been one of my favorites, but a lot of them have either lackluster or first seasons that maybe aren't the quality of later seasons. And I thought Jupiter's Legacy could only, if they would have learned from their mistakes, clearly money-wise they weren't, but if they would have learned from their mistakes, then it could have been a little bit better in the second season, but now we'll never get to know. I will say, though, the production, was really good. The special effects, though, that doesn't scream $200 million of that show.
No, it screams CW Flash series.
Yeah. So what happened? Where'd that money go?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, was it the price of the actors, like Josh Duhamel and stuff? Was it getting them guys on board?
Yeah,
because he's pretty much one of the biggest heavy.
I'm going to blame it on the couches. We lose a lot of change in the couches.
We do.
There's probably a lot of couches,
and they get our butt a lot too. So there is that. All right, so moving along here, PlayStation boss Jim Ryan has recently commented on the continuing situation with Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, my gosh. Here we go. And its removal from the PlayStation Store. You remember reported on that 2 months ago. Well, which is something that transpired last December. Yep, remember? We've commented on that. For roughly 6 months at this point, PlayStation 4 and 5 players haven't been able to digitally purchase Cyberpunk 2077. Now, it might seem like at a time there will come a time where the game will be added once again. Ryan hasn't said what it will take place or the title return or to the marketplace, when, what, where, who, whatever. But Ryan explained that PlayStation moved to remove the newly released RPG from its platform because it felt like it would be a way of protecting its audience. I'm not sure what that means. So he went on to say, quote, "This was a tough decision for us to make, but ultimately we had to act in the interests of the PlayStation community and not knowingly sell a game that might result in a bad experience for them." Okay, I get that.
Quality control. Fair enough.
Quality control. They're backpedaling. I understand that. But here's the problem. They released a game that was only like 65, 70% completed. It was buggy. People that bought it, they bought the deluxe editions. They spent upwards of $115 to $125 on these deluxe sets. And the game, they couldn't even load the game. It was very buggy. It was crazy. And it was just very faulty from the get-go. PlayStation is not to blame for that. That would be definitely the directors and creators of the video game franchise itself. I think this is a debacle of a video game. I believe that Cyberpunk 2077 was meant to be the last big release on the PlayStation before. It was the last big title to launch on the PS4 and before the PS5 truly came into power. And I believe I believe the ship sailed, man. I believe it's time to move on. You probably will see 2077 on discount in the PlayStation 5 bin for $19.99 this coming holiday season. And that's probably going to be about it, pretty much. But you don't have to take my word for it. Dun-dun-dun. But,
well, just to comment on that, though, we talk about a lot of money being wasted. I wish we could put a number to this. Just see, not only money, but resources, man. Keanu, this was...
Dude, this game was 5 years in the making.
Yeah, that hurts my artistic and creative soul seeing that go to waste.
What are you doing? Eating popcorn and picking your nose?
Oh my god.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know, bro.
What I have seen of it is pretty.
It is very pretty. It's got a nice synthwave vibe to it. It looks futuristic.
From what I've seen, it looks really cool. I mean, it's obviously very adult, but it looks really cool. I just wish it worked right.
I'll say this to all the PopXers. If you want to enjoy Cyberpunk 2077, go watch the trailer and then move on with the rest of your life. Yeah. That's all I got to say about that. All right, moving on. Austin Burke, you're ending up this week's headlines.
All right, let's talk about Aquaman. So James Wan is now trending thanks to all of the Aquaman fans on Twitter. He revealed the title for the second movie. It is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Where did it go? We don't know. DC Comics fans knew that the title.
Hello,
where's it at? Had to be coming at some point as we're nearing most of their huge projects from 2022 being, oh my God, a year away. Jason Momoa is more than ready for a dive into the water after that time filming Dune.
Dive into the water.
Dune is...
Dive into the kids.
Oh my God.
I just read. I didn't realize what I said. But hey, Dune, that's my most anticipated movie. So that's the one I'm looking forward to. But both of these films are pretty highly anticipated by the fan bases. We're still a while away from Aquaman 2. One was adamant that his film and others like it would make it to theaters. In some comments to the LA Times, the director drew a line in the sand for what would and wouldn't be happening when the next movie hit theaters. What's going to happen in the Lost Kingdom?
I don't know, man. There's so many possibilities.
I'm going to take a stab at it. There's probably going to be swimming.
And fish.
Yeah. And then Willem Dafoe with those amazing jowls of his.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's going to scream, "Avenge me." And he's going to say, Parker,
"Peter Parker."
I'm just ready for some washboard abs and some gorgeous.
Oh my gosh. Hey, what's up, Michelle Alexander in the house? What is going on? That's so good to have her. We got some Haps people hanging here with us. That's so cool. But back to Aquaman, the Lost Kingdom. I don't know what that could be referring to. I mean, could they? It has to be a kingdom on Earth, right? It couldn't be Themyscira, and it can't be Atlantis. Atlantis is existing.
Yeah.
So
they're kind of against humans in general, so it could be just...
What is the actor that was in the Conjuring that plays one of the guy that played the villain in the first Aquaman?
Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson.
Yes.
There were scenes of him, I think I saw online, of him like getting ready to reprise his role. So I think he's coming back.
Yes.
But I don't know to what extent and what capacity. But this will be.
And I heard the actor who's playing Black Mantis coming back. So it looks like they're bringing back literally everyone from the first film. But who's the new player? Like, where is this Lost Kingdom? That's interesting.
Interesting.
We'll find out.
That is.
Stay tuned. Aquaman 2.
I just can't wait to see Momoa get all in the water again.
That's really what I'm buying my ticket for.
I'm just gonna.
I might buy 2 tickets.
And I'm gonna hide my wife's eyes as he's doing it. Don't look, honey. He's just a big dude that's got a lot of muscles. You don't need to look at him. All right, anyway, moving on.
Sexy as us, though.
Flex. Who's out there ready for some retro rewind?
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Can I get a what?
A what?
A what?
What?
Karate Kid, here we go. We'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. Retro Rewind starts now. Retro Rewind. Retro Rewind. Retro Rewind. Wax on. Wax off. It's so good, dude. Sand the floor. So good. So this movie, oh my gosh. I had the honor late last night I watched this earlier in the week. Of course, I've seen this movie probably 20 sometimes in my entire lifespan of Joe on this earth. And so it's you like that, didn't you? The earth, you like that? Yeah? Okay, we're just moving along here.
Sorry.
Just a little
Easily
nerd.
amused.
Oh my God, it's a nerd. So this movie brings a lot of joy to me, and I connected with this movie especially as a child because I'll share this with you, and I want to move on to Austin and Lindsay, but I was a kid that was in school that I was bullied. I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to dance around it. I was bullied. And so much like Daniel LaRusso, Ralph's character that he plays here in The Karate Kid, I just resonated because the entire movie he's bullied for something, that's literally not his fault. He's literally transplanted from his hometown in Jersey. His mom plopped him up, picked him, and took him on the road to Pasadena. And here he is in the valley, and he's trying to pick up the pieces. He has his father's not in the picture, and he has no father figure. He has no mentor. And every time he tries to do something or talk to somebody at school, he's always bullied, and this gang will not relent on him at all. And for me, growing up in that environment and watching this, there's so many times I could just close my eyes and I just resonated with Daniel. I wanted to be Daniel. I wanted to have the physical strength of Daniel, and I wanted to be able to overcome my adversaries in the way that Daniel did. And so it's a very empowering movie on a lot of different levels. I didn't mean to bring the mood down, but I'm just, this movie is a deep one for me. This is definitely in my top 5 of the deep movies of the 80s for me that really just kind of like connects with Joe. And I have nothing bad to say about this film from start to finish. It is literally an epic piece of 80s masterpiece. Just, oh gosh, it's cinematic glory for me. And I do want to go to the critic. I want to see what the critic has to say about this.
Yeah, it wasn't a movie that. So here's kind of where I was going into Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai got me way more excited about this franchise because it gave me the opportunity to go back and revisit this franchise and really see like the glory that comes from it. And most of it spawns from this first film. Mm-hmm. So while it wasn't one that I went back to all the time growing up, it was one that I was very aware of. And every time I would watch it, I would really enjoy it. And watching it earlier today, actually, just about an hour ago, finishing it, I was really able to, now that I have Cobra Kai to work off of and we see where these characters end up, I was really able to appreciate kind of the origins of our characters, and everything about this style works so well. And just the simplicity, moving to a new area, going in, we're making new friends. There's a little bit of love interest going on there. And then, I didn't really remember how big of a jerk Johnny was and that crew. And oh my god, because now we see Cobra Kai and we're like very different characters, very different arcs. But before, man, so you're really really on board with Daniel at the beginning of this movie. And when we get to those training sequences and we first see Mr. Miyagi take everybody out by that fence, and we're like, whoa, who is this guy? And then the culmination of all of that with the final battle. This movie has one of the coolest character arcs, I believe, of the 80s. And it is the ultimate, Joe, you said it best, the ultimate like overcoming bullying story, I think probably of that decade.
Yeah.
Right. Because this kid went from, and you know, he knew karate, but he went from zero to hero so quick, but he had it in him the entire time, right? He was never really a zero. And that's what I love. Mr. Miyagi was just able to bring this out of him. So that's what I love about this story, man. And this movie rocked my world revisiting it. I loved it.
It rocked my world too. And, you know, I'm glad you said that. It is definitely the zero to hero. Mm-hmm. And there's so many times, dude, see, here's the thing about my story, and I should have probably mentioned this before, then I want Lindsay to just open up and just open that can of worms. But I didn't have the physical strength because I was born with a disability. Yeah. So that's what I meant by I wanted to be Daniel, but I couldn't be. See, I didn't have that physical strength, but I learned something along the way. I learned that my biggest strength and my biggest muscle that I have is my mind. And when you're able to do things intellectually, and I don't want to say outsmart and outwit the jocks that made my life a hell, but when I was able to do things that just kind of like put the little, you know, I on dot the I and cross the T and just like, I gotcha. You know, that to me intellectually was just like, you know, I understood my place very quickly. Like, yeah, I know what I can do here in this situation, and they're not going to come at me, and they're going to look like yes. So, but I wanted to just mention that really quickly. All right, so Lindsay Badger, the Karate Kid.
Man, you guys like unpacked almost everything about this. There's not much left to say.
Well, you're the female perspective though, too.
I will say I grew up a pretty normal childhood. Not a ton of bullying for me to experience personally, but I do agree with Austin watching this again, fresh on the mind while I was watching it today, as a matter of fact. I was constantly remembering and referencing the Cobra Kai series and be like, that's why he likes cars. And that's why they do this. And that's why they do this. And it's so great how they are pulling so many details from the original source in elaborating on that, making it grow into something a little bit bigger than what it started out to be. And with all the characters, not just one over the other. It makes the level of bullying and meanness is actually explained in this new series, the Cobra Kai series. So you kind of get a little bit more reference to why he's behaving the way he's behaving. And I think I come to appreciate the villainy more because of that.
Agreed.
I think overall it's just a fun, like, summer hit movie to enjoy because it's based around, you know, going out on dates and, you know, putt and going to the beach and, you know, all the outdoor activities. There's very rarely anything that they do indoors in this movie. It's all outdoor stuff, enjoying the summer sun in California land.
Oh yeah.
But the origin of where Miyagi learns it all is in the second movie. So if you're and they reference a lot of that in the second season or third season, I think.
They do.
So, I mean, it's really just a continuation and they've really just built everything around these core movies. And if you haven't seen them, you're not getting the full experience of the new series.
That's right.
So,
I think everything you said, Lindsay, is spot on. 100%. I get it. It was definitely one of those great summer films for 1985 when it came out. And, for me, I feel that I definitely do resonate with the storyline, probably more than most, and I get that. I understand that, and the soundtrack is great. You know, there's definitely that '80s vibe soundtrack in there. But the hero for me is not Daniel. The hero is Mr. Miyagi.
Yes.
And the reason I don't know how to explain it, but Pat, the actor that played Mr. Miyagi, had this demeanor and composure about this character, knowing going into this role that there is a level of calmness, of humility and posterity, that when you can control oneself, you can control your outward actions and emotions.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, if you just listen and watch the ways of Miyagi-Do, you can literally become a better person just by the wisdom of Mr. Miyagi himself. And then, I mean, yes, this is a movie. We're talking about a movie here, but the life applications of what he teaches, literally, whether boy, girl, wherever you're from, they apply to everybody.
And there's such simple lessons. I mean, if you think about the overall of the movie, his lines are not very long.
No.
He doesn't speak a lot in the entirety of the movie, if you think about it. It's really just what he says is extremely to the point and powerful. There's no fluff.
Yeah.
It's to the core of what he wants you to know. Yeah. And the rest of it, because I mean, Daniel-san, you talk too much. You dance around and talk too much.
Yeah.
And it's true. I mean, they fill in the story around him, but he really is the root of all the lessons that he needs to learn. And they're very simple, but also very difficult to execute if you don't know yourself.
That's so cool.
And every line exudes this ridiculous amount of wisdom that you don't often get from a character. Like a lot of movies try these, old, they're very smart, they know a lot of things, they've been there. But this character, Mr. Miyagi, is one of a kind because his presence is not only felt in that first film and all the sequels, his presence is felt heavily in Cobra Kai.
Heavily.
And obviously he's not in Cobra Kai. And not just namesake, just everything that he's passed down to everyone, even the characters that were kind of the villainous characters, everyone knew who Mr. Miyagi was. And I thought Joe brought up a really good point in saying kind of what he has said just in this movie alone has really been passed down through the ages. And it's really nice to see that in Cobra Kai. So again, when a movie can start a whole franchise and still go, 40 years later, that's when you know you got a good movie on your hands.
And Devereaux Watson over in the chat room makes a very good comparison here. He says Yoda was very similar, limited in wording, but very powerful in actions.
Exactly.
Agreed.
And so, that's awesome. When you can have a character that is the wise shaman, so to speak, that speaks less but does things that are powerful to impact the entire timeline. Yeah, you've got a character there that's just Yoda-esque. I can't help but think that maybe even Miyagi was maybe even patterned after Yoda in some ways. I'm not saying hypothetically, but now that you mention that, Dev, it actually makes sense to some extent.
So I have a question for you boys, because I know that we've been kind of accolade. Is there any negative parts that you found of this movie? Because no movie is perfect, no matter how good it is. Just one piece that you wish maybe would have been better.
Well, I will say I think the beginning was a little bit slower than I remembered. And, there are some elements that can come across as maybe too cheesy, in my opinion. Something that's maybe looked upon a bit more harshly nowadays than the 80s, obviously. But there were times where I'm like, that's really cheesy. But at the same time, I look at those things and I'm like, that's kind of what makes the movie special. So it doesn't really bother me that much. But really, it's the pacing in the first act. That's my main complaint. It
does take a little bit of time getting going, but we are understanding the heart behind Daniel and his mother. And I think that it's slow, but I think it's necessary to understand, because leaving everything that you know and have in Jersey and picking up your entire life and moving out west is not an easy task by any means. So, but let's rate the film. And we'll move on to some Loki discussions. I am going to go with a 9.0 on this one, just because for me, it's right up there. If you've been on my letterboxd, you know the Karate Kid is front and center in the top 10 for sure.
I'm gonna go an 8.2 for my score. Again, a couple of pacing things aside, I do think this is one of the better franchises of the 80s. I think this is one of the better movies that spawned things to come that still resonate to this day. And the Karate Kid, man, this was an awesome, good choice. Good movie to revisit this week.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with a 9.2.
Look at you, Badger.
Yeah.
Woo.
Nice. I love it. It's so good when we have these retro movies and we can be able to talk about this and just, pick it apart, but at the same time, Sharon, why is this movie so popular in pop culture history? And that's a beautiful thing about the Karate Kid is it definitely resonates.
doing these retro rewinds also because there's this big, huge reboot of these retro movies and into series or movies themselves. And so we have an opportunity to compare old versus the new as well.
We got a 10 from John Poffenbarger, 9 out of 10 from I Talk Marvel. Deborah Watson gave it a 10 out of 10.
Nice.
Love
at
it.
that. That's awesome. Well, with all that said and done, we are going to transition into Loki, and we have got, oh my gosh, some crazy stuff to unpack. But before we do, we have to roll the spoiler alert warning. Now, if you've not seen Loki episode 1 on Disney Plus, I do encourage you, if you're listening on audio or watching right now on the stream, hit the pause button because we're going to unpack things that you probably don't want spoiled for yourself. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Danger. You are about to enter a PopX spoiler alert. Beyond this point, there is no return. You have been warned.
You have been warned, and I believe that TVA just got a notification as well that we're about to create an alternate timeline by exposing who they are. So here we go. Loki premiered this Wednesday, Loki Wednesdays, which was different. It was weird watching a Disney Plus show because I'm so used to Friday nights. But man, what a crazy first episode. Dare I even say even more stranger and appealing than WandaVision?
You are correct.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
There is a lot to see. There's a lot to digest. There is a lot to process and a lot of things going on in the background of this first episode. It may be just over 50 minutes in length and runtime, but holy cow. I was there. I caught myself on the second rewatch having to pause and look in the back of things and like, well, what does that symbol look like? And I'm trying to, I caught myself doing a WandaVision take on everything. Like, what does that mean? Is that an illusion? Is that Stan Lee in the background on that mural? What's going on here? I'm sitting here dissecting this thing like crazy. But all in all, man, I'm telling you, this one was a good one. One of the strongest openings of, I believe, the Marvel franchise. WandaVision took a little while to get off because in episodes 1 and 2 of WandaVision, they were still in the 40s and 50s, and we didn't necessarily understand what was going on right off the bat. So going into episode 3 on WandaVision, we were kind of clueless, right?
Yeah, WandaVision was a slow burn kind of start.
It was a slow burn, but my God, by the time we got there, holy cow.
Whew.
Yes.
It was great.
I feel this one, man, it's just like, I hope it keeps this momentum throughout the entire series. This is no slow burn. This is like plop, and it's just like throwing you right in the middle of the storyline. Multiple realities and multiverses going on because our boy picked up a Tesseract and created an alternate branch reality, which is going to probably cause a Nexus event. But Austin, I'm going to shut up for a minute. I just want to hear you and Lindsay. What did you think about this?
Well, I hate this right now. You know why? Because I watched episodes 1 and 2 about 2 weeks ago, and I can't talk about 2 yet. And having to wait for episode 3, I'm dying. I'm dying.
Gosh.
This show's amazing. It's spectacular. And spoilers, episode 2 is better than episode 1. But episode 1 is an incredible start. I think it's the best premiere Disney has had with one of the Marvel shows. It keeps that momentum throughout the entire episode. Now, one of the criticisms, because I watched this later in the day when all the critics got our screeners, so I saw some tweets right before I started episode 1, and I saw, some people were saying, well, episode 1's just kind of an exposition dump, and it turned out that was minority, by the way. But They were like, it's just an exposition dump, and Loki's just really, learning, seeing things that we've seen as an audience before. But for me watching this, I'm seeing this through the perspective of a man who is literally seeing his alternate life play out and then watching himself die. And that is one of the biggest emotional gut punches I've seen for any character in the MCU. But the fact that we already know Loki so well and we love him, and then remembering that this is the 2012 version, a version who has this grand plan, just got smashed around by the Hulk. We have to remember, he just got whipped around and beaten up by the Hulk. So when he says at the end of the episode, I've had a long day, the guy's had a really long day. And then he sees himself die.
Wow.
And meeting Owen Wilson for the first time with that chemistry, and Owen Wilson slowly, Mobius becoming one of my favorite characters in these Marvel series. Man, this
Wow.
show is
Wow.
when he says that, by the way, I'm going to lose my mind.
I know, me too.
You know he's going to say it. You know he's going to say it. But man,
He
this show
better.
is rocking it. Right. I mean, it is rocking it.
It is rocking it. And man, I'm so glad you touched on that Loki death scene. I was sitting here, dude, and it was so powerful because in that moment, I did realize that, oh my God, this is the 2012 Loki. He has no idea what's happened the past 8 years of his life. He actually grown to love his father and his brother and join forces with the Avengers and fight Thanos. And it's just, and all of that is gone on the current time continuum as we know it. And he's watching that, and the moment that Thanos snaps his neck on this highlight reel, I was just like, and you could just see, he's like, oh my gosh, it was a weight. Tom Hiddleston is a freaking beast in this show. And he got freaking ripped on this too.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah, he did.
Holy cow, when that whole
Looked good,
scene,
man.
it kind of reminded me in Ragnarok. Remember in Ragnarok when Thor before he went into the gladiator arena, he went through that whole process of becoming a gladiator, and Stan Lee came out, was cutting his hair. This is just a little off the top, and don't move or anything. Well, that robot with the weird smiley face kind of reminded me of that Stan Lee character a little bit because he had all those things coming out of him that kind of looked like Stan's hands, you know? But it was really interesting watching that whole transition, how he goes from being in 2012 through the TVA, no clothes, in a jumpsuit, boom, and he's right there in front of the judge getting ready to plead for his life.
Right.
Pretty amazing. Lindsay, what was your takes on this?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so just to start back at the beginning of the Disney Plus series Marvel phenomenon that we're experiencing right now, WandaVision was swarmed with fan base speculation. Are they going to do this? Are they going to do that? Easter eggs. I think every frame of every second in every episode of that movie had an Easter egg shoved in it somewhere, and somebody found like 5 to speculate on, and all of it led to Mephisto, right?
Yeah.
So there was that series. Phenomenal end. Can't wait to see it tying back into everything else. Then we had Winter Soldier, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That was kind of a predictable one. We kind of already knew where the story was going to lead, and there was a couple of things there that we probably maybe not predicted, but for the most part, it went the way we thought it was going to. Loki, I have no idea where this is going to go. None whatsoever. I am completely clueless about what's going to happen next. I just know Loki is being the bad guy, right? With some somewhat good qualities when he feels like it. Yeah. So this is definitely, I'm buckled in. I'm ready for the ride. I'm ready for anything to happen at any time in this show. It's going to be a very exciting adventure. I loved Miss Minute. I know it's a kind of an obscure moment from the episode, but it's actually kind of a really key moment in the episode. It is explaining the goal of the series and where it's tying into all of this. Yeah. We already know that we're doing the multiverse of madness situation, and we've already had references to the Nexus before in WandaVision and whatnot. This is explaining how it's tying into everything.
Yeah.
So I was really thankful. And plus, I'm all about that whole retro atomic art style anyways. So that was like giving me all the good feels. And then we get our lovely Owen Wilson intro.
Wow.
I loved him.
Wow. Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to love him as much as I do love him playing this character. It feels kind of like a Catch Me If You Can, hand ratty, chase the guy, sort of situation going on. I'm loving that movie is like one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. So having that feel woven into this series, I'm like, all right, I'm on board. Let's go. This is going to be great.
It's funny you said that, Lindsay. That's one of the movies that the writer said that he looked at when he was writing this series was Catch Me If You Can.
I love Tom Hanks. I love Tom Hanks, and that's definitely one of my favorite characters he plays. So I'm definitely getting really good vibes of Owen Wilson playing that role. Obviously, he's not going to be exactly like that, but with the atomic stylings of the Miss Minute video, and then you pull this Hanratty vibe character from that same similar time era, I'm like, oh my God, my heart. And then we've got all of this references, and I know we'll dive into more of the Easter eggs here in a minute, but all of the little notes and little things. So we have this it's an Easter egg hunt for the fan base. It is total fan service, and I'm loving all of it. I am really looking forward to all of the episodes, not just the next one.
Yeah, I know. And Lindsay, my gosh, absolutely. Catch Me If You Can. I mean, that's a great pull. That is a great pull for this. And there's so many little things and Easter eggs and things. And you're going back to talking about the Mrs. Minutes and stuff like that. It kind of reminded me of Dino DNA from Jurassic Park, that style.
I loved the process, the processing, obviously he was imprisoned. So he's going through this new prisoner not recruitment, but processing system where it's an elevator and each floor is a certain step. And he's like having to do all this thing. I loved the sign here if this is everything you've ever said in your entire life. And then he was like, are you serious? And it prints out a paper and he's like, end this. And he's like, for reals? Prints out, end this. I'm like, oh my
I kind of feel though,
so
Loki's 1,000 years old. So,
brilliant.
So there should have been a lot more paper there, I think.
I think
I agree.
Austin, you were going to say something though. You had your hand up there for a second.
That is what one thing I said in my first review is it has the same sense of humor as Thor Ragnarok. Like in Ragnarok, when Thor is going through come with me and he's learning all of those things on that little roller coaster thing, and then the melt stick in Ragnarok. Well, you got a similar thing here with the baton that evaporates that guy, and Loki's like, for the first time we see Loki terrified, right? But we were laughing, so it really has that Ragnarok sense of humor, which is perfect for Loki. So man, I mean, they've got everything going for them in this show.
Michelle, look at this Entertainment Examiner over here. Whatever you do, take a number, Michelle Alexander.
This chat is blowing it up. There was
I'm telling
one
you
earlier that was something about this podcast is.
But
it's gone now.
Getting back to like the cusp of just the setup and the Easter eggs in the background. So the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, makes its triumphant appearance into the MCU.
Have we seen them before?
Not until now. No, not until now. And I have a feeling that they're going to be definitely heavy players going into the future, especially going into Quantum Mania with the Ant-Man. As Kang is already been teased as the villain there. Kang is he is kind of like the bounty man for the TVA, Time Variance Authority. And if I'm not mistaken, has a thing with the judge that was judging Loki when he went up to the altar, the big wooden thing with the three faces. Kang, if you don't know, they work together with Kang, and if you don't know who Kang is, he's a big bad dude. He's kind of and he's coming in Quantum Mania, so get ready for that.
It's already the Mephisto of this show. Everyone is saying Kang's got to come. Kang's got to come. But you know what? I think it's way more of a possibility than Mephisto because it ties right into these characters.
Well, it has to because Quantum Mania, Kang has already been confirmed.
Exactly.
We know
and the actor Jonathan Majors. Oh my God, he's going to be so cool.
It's going to be crazy.
So I was just thinking which characters have previously been referenced. I know we know about the Watchers, right?
The Watchers,
and they talk about those. He refers to them as the Time Lizards, which I found highly hilarious. There's not many other characters
now,
in the TVA series that we've met.
Now the TVA, the three guys that are on the back, the Time Variance, the gods of time, are not the Watchers.
Oh, they're not the Watchers.
The Watchers are beings who simply observe everything from afar. They never interfere with the human existence.
They were the same thing.
Which is what Stan Lee was in that movie, essentially saying that's why he cameos in all of the films.
Because he's a Watcher. He never interferes with the timeline.
Yes,
Right.
but he's always there watching,
I love it.
which is great. But the Easter eggs now. Anybody notice the scroll in the background wearing the Adidas sweatpants?
Yes.
Well, I didn't notice the sweatpants, but I did notice the scroll.
Go back and watch your Captain Marvel. He's in Captain
Hilarious.
Marvel.
Yes.
So there is a
Amazing?
direct tie-in with the scrolls and that character
Perfect.
from Captain Marvel who's making his background appearance cameos, the continuity. Now let's talk about the drawer of the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
That kind of blew my lid, guys.
Oh, we just use some of those for paperweights because they don't have power and magic and function
That's
in that
crazy.
realm of the TVA.
I can't wrap my head around that.
It's also crazy because we just saw Thanos wipe out half of the universe with these Infinity Stones, and these guys are using it as paperweight.
Yeah.
And that's when Loki kind of just dropped, almost metaphorically, like dropped to his knees and said, "These are the most powerful." I mean,
Yeah.
what's above this? I mean, you go straight to heaven above this. What do you do?
The Eternals are the only
conquer-
thing above the TVA.
I mean, what do you do, man? It's insane how they established them using that as paperweights as just some of the best power in the universe.
I wonder if the TVA gods, the three like lizard beings, I wonder if they are Eternals.
Oh my God! If they try that, in, I want to.
Okay.
Gonna
Anyway,
explode.
getting back. All right. So,
I'm gonna explode.
my head's already. I'm like sitting
How,
like
how
trying
did
to
you
process.
guys like the little office clerk guy? What was his name?
Oh, the guy with the cat.
Yeah. Like you first see him as he's coming in. It's kind of like the receptionist
You're talking about
guy.
You're talking about the
and
other
then
guy.
you later see him. He's pushing the cart with all the Infinity Stones in it and all that. The junk drawer.
I told Madison that would be me because they literally evaporate that thing. He's like, "Guys, you almost evaporated me." Like I would be that awkward, just nerdy dude who's been there his entire life. That would 100% be me. In that.
That's another good point. These beings in the TVA have been born, bred, and exist only here.
Yeah.
Within the
saw
TVA.
how big it is whenever they're out walking.
It's insane.
Owen Wilson and
Star
Loki,
Wars.
they're both.
Looks like Star Wars.
It looks it looks like Coruscant on crack is what it looks like.
I'm like, when can I move there? How much is rent a month? Because I want to go.
It was and when Loki looked at the vastness, he's like, "This is an illusion. This can't be real."
Yeah.
This is
And
this is fake.
yeah,
Does it look real?
it's real. It's real. But the drawer of Infinity Stones, my mind is like sitting here racing. What beings in previous history got these stones and were captured by the TVA? Because basically all that is just a prisoner recon for all the things and artifacts that the guys that they bring in have. And what's even more fascinating is they didn't capture Steve Rogers.
Yes.
Because Steve Rogers was in the continuity. It was meant to happen the way it was meant to happen.
Steve and Peggy meant to happen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. But I want to know the backstory, even the baseball card. You know, the Honus Wagner baseball card is worth millions of dollars. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, D.B. Cooper. If you don't know who D.B. Cooper is, it's one of the biggest airplane heists of the 30s or 40s.
Yeah.
And if you don't know who D.B. Cooper is, you probably want to go back to school and hit your books again, because I'm going to be honest with you. This is one of the biggest villains in the world, an unsolved mystery. We don't even know who this guy ever was, but he stole millions of dollars from the federal government by hijacking a plane. This was a real thing. This really happened. And the fact that Loki was D.B. Cooper all along.
It was almost as interesting. You remember in Days of Future Past when they made it to where Magneto killed, was it Magneto saved or Magneto killed JFK? Regardless, you're changing history in this universe to make it fit your narrative, and that's exactly what they're doing with Loki, and it's brilliant. The writing is so good. I loved it so much.
It's just I can't wait for Multiverse of Madness, because the same guy that's writing this is writing that, and it's just
yay.
And he wrote Rick and Morty. He wrote Rick and Morty, so that
of course he wrote Rick and Morty.
That's what I'm saying. He's such a good writer. Like he weaves humor and this serious, because Rick and Morty can get serious, and he's applying that to Marvel, and it's a whole new ball game. This is an entirely new ball game that we're playing in right now.
The big buzz on the internet right now, and we got a few more things I want to wrap up on Loki, but the Agent Carter quote unquote cameo.
Oh wow, yeah, that's been.
We don't
several
know.
times in
We
the
can't
chat, for sure.
confirm or deny what that is, but I want to be honest with you. There's not a lot of characters with that body style and hairdo that's going to look like it. And the bigger question here is, if it is, why?
Why and what timeline did she come from?
Yeah,
is
where's she
like
at?
Old school or is she?
I mean,
newer?
is this was she married to Steve at this point?
What's happening?
Is this before Steve? I mean,
Maybe it's a scroll that looks like her.
Is there a measure of time in the TVA? Did they even mention that?
They said time moves differently in the TVA, but
It
they didn't
doesn't
say
say
how.
Exactly. They didn't specify how it moved. It just said it moved differently.
Okay.
And also, what was I don't remember Owen Wilson's character's name. Is Mobius? Is that his name?
Mobius M. Mobius. Yeah.
I keep wanting to say Morbius.
What was he? What was that case he was originally working on before he came to deal with Loki?
It was Loki.
No, like he was in like some church with some
Loki.
weird, crazy. No.
Yeah, because the kid pointed up at the stained glass window, and the guy with the horns is Loki. So every case that he's
a different character.
Here, you didn't catch it at the beginning of it.
And Austin's like grinning like a Cheshire cat down here because he knows crap that we don't.
When Loki got
love
the
it too.
Tesseract, listen, when Loki got the Tesseract,
Yeah.
he created multiple realities. So
Okay.
that Loki went to 1549 to terrorize that town. In 1890, whatever, in what was it, Oklahoma?
How did I miss that connection? I was just like, well, what's
The
this
hooded
bad guy
figure,
that
I
he's been
believe, is
chasing?
going to be a female Loki, or even another variation of Loki. And so here's what the thing is: the whole thing is going to be Loki in
Well, I'm okay
multiple
with
ways
that.
and formats. Austin's turning away.
My face cannot confirm or deny this storyline speculation.
Well, I'm just saying this because Austin, just turn around. Just turn around. Keep on turning. Just keep on turning. All right. So
The mouse is watching.
no, but listen, the boy pointed at the stained glass window with the horned devil.
Yes.
Loki is the horned devil of mischievousness.
I thought it
And-
was like some other bad guy that we were going to be meeting later or something. I
Look at
thought
Austin.
that maybe Mobius had like left in the middle of his whatever current case he was working on to go deal with Loki and he was going to come back to it later or something.
No, Loki.
Okay.
What is going on?
I don't know, but I'm liking it.
Austin. He's looking through the peephole.
Help me.
He's looking through the back part.
Oh
Say
my
anything.
gosh.
I can't say anything because I know it. I can't say it. It hurts.
It's okay. We'll know soon enough.
Don't say
No,
anything, Austin.
Don't hurt yourself.
But we will see how right or wrong I am. But yes, what Mobius was inspecting in the church was another Loki doing a different thing. What was happened at the end of it when the fire in the field, that's another Loki.
Oh, good Lord.
So when he grabbed the Tesseract, multiple branches, that's why they went over the
Okay.
Nexus. He
Gotcha.
created a conundrum in the continuation timeline. So
You guys are going to have to handhold me through all these.
we
timelines then.
got you,
My
girl. We ain't
goodness
gonna let you
gracious.
go. We ain't gonna let you go. One last thing, two more things I want to talk about is if you looked, this is really interesting, on the elevator. All right. If you looked at the numbers, you're like, what do these mean? These are number sequences.
Yeah, they were really random.
One I picked out, IUL on the left side. Go back and screenshot it. If Mike was here tonight, who he's out of town, he can't. IUL refers to the zombie Marvel timeline, when all of the heroes and villains of Marvel are zombies, the living dead.
Oh my God.
Just do your research, but that is the world. So 616 is the current continuation of Earth as we know it, right? As we saw the real end, when he's watching his life in the viewing room and the tape ends and you get that white segment, pause it. It says Loki 616 on it. There's another one for you, which confirms this is the Loki of Earth and the current continuation of Earth. But IUL specifically is another one of those alternate timelines that refers to the zombie apocalypse of Marvel. Let's see, and the last but not least is the conversation when Mobius and Loki are walking through the corridor with the big, vast city in the background. He says, this is all an illusion. And he's like, this is a thing of my nightmares. Mobius looks at him and says, well, that's another floor in another room, but you could take that out anytime you want to. That was an interesting nugget.
That is interesting.
Nightmares, referring to nightmare.
Yeah. And it's funny. I know we mentioned before that it's funny that this is the show that they mentioned Nightmare in and not WandaVision, but that also, I mean, every time they mention something, it's going to open a door. But imagine actually eventually getting Nightmare in the MCU. And I think this
I'd be
is
happy
the
with
first
Kang
year
at this point.
Oh my God.
You know,
oh my God.
I'm just on board with Kang. Give me some Kang. We know he's coming. Just drop him in here right quick, like they did with Thanos and in the early MCU, you know.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, that's just a snippet of some of the things that we saw. There's things on the wall in the TVA. There's
so
banners.
many different things. Number sequences that probably actually mean something that we haven't discovered
We
yet.
haven't figured
There's all
out.
sorts of things. Colors, pictures, numbers, shapes.
And Loki's
everything.
sex is fluid.
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
Now, let me explain that. In the comics, Loki can be reincarnated in multiple states and multiple bodies, which means he can be a female, he can be a male, he can be a Skrull, he can be anything he wants to be because he's a god.
Mm-hmm.
So his sex is he's asexual in a way. He's fluid. So Loki is more, think of this. We see Loki as a masculine presence because that's what we've seen Tom Hiddleston's character.
Correct.
I believe the reason they hinted on that and in the closing credits, I believe that we're going to see variations of Loki we didn't even know existed in multiple formats in this series. And that's why they highlighted that on Fluid. So, wow, that was a lot. I'm exhausted now. I'm ready for bed.
There was one other thing I wanted to ask about you guys.
Sure.
Did you notice that Loki's last name when they announced him was not Odinson?
It was the
His son.
From the
That was just a little nugget. I was like, oh, not Odinson.
Frost
this
Giant
time.
the
nugget.
Frost
I love
Giant's
it. Right.
return. That's right.
Getting
She
a little
even said the
frosty.
Frost Giant, didn't she? She said that
I believe so.
Frost Giant. Then she said Laufey's son, which I thought was a great. I mean, you know, again, I'm looking at this writer, Michael Waldron, and then I think of Marcus and McFeely, who were the writers behind Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. Their first project being Winter Soldier. I have the same feeling about Michael Waldron, meaning I believe his presence from here on out is going to be the major presence in the MCU. So not only we're going to get Loki and Doctor Strange, I think he's going to go on to write a big portion of the MCU because the key word here is time.
Multiverse
And I think that's
time.
what these next few phases are dealing with is time. And I think Michael Waldron is going to be a huge part of most of these screenplays.
Man, I'm telling you, this has been such a fun show unpacking just one episode. One episode.
One.
And by the time we come back, we'll be unpacking 2 more episodes.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So
Because, I mean, it's only a
8?
couple more
Is it
days
8?
till we
Is it a
get-
series of 8, I believe?
Is it a series of
6.
8? Why do they have to be so short? Why does it have to be so short?
6. I want 100.
Okay.
That's painful.
And then that'll lead us right up, no, I guess Loki will be going on right there in the middle of Black Widow's-
Widow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
So we have 2 more days to wait until episode 2. So that's not too
That's
bad.
not too bad. No. No, it'll be here before we know it. But
Exactly.
guys, that's it. If we miss something, please let us know in the chat.
I'm sure we'll find out 100 more things to talk
I'm
about.
sure, but these are just
for
some of the
2
nuggets
more days.
we were able to unpack in this short amount of time. And guys, I love your comments over the chat. Thank you guys
I
so
told
much.
you we could talk all night about just one
telling
episode of
you.
Loki.
It's amazing, and there's more. I can even go into detail of the murals and stuff in the background and things I saw, but it doesn't really. It's not tangible until it becomes tangible. If that makes sense. But anyway, man,
Just hit us up on the socials if you guys want to chitty chat about all.
Yeah, let me know what you guys think about it. I want to hear your reviews as well. We're not going to review the series at this point. We'll wait until the final episode airs, and then we'll review the series as a whole. But with all that said, Austin Burke, you ready to take us out, my friend?
Yes, you guys can find me at the Burkinator and Austin Burke on YouTube. You guys can follow us on at the Creative Multiverse, which is the newly formed creative group for more great media, content, artwork, and more. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the Creative Multiverse. And you guys, Joe and Lindsay, you guys are doing really incredible things over there. So if you guys want an outlet or just a place you can go to express yourselves, I think that's one of the best places, especially on Facebook. So if you're creative, produce content, or have a talent, we want to see it and would like for you guys to share it with us in the, wait for it, multiverse.
Oh, maybe that was intentional. Yes.
Well, and the whole reason why we Joe went with the multiverse is because it's not limited to just art. You can be a singer, you can be a video producer, you could be a photographer, you can do anything that is a talent that falls under the umbrella of creativity is welcome there.
Indeed.
All mediums. We're inclusive of all mediums.
Yes, we
Anywho,
are.
so it's a fun place to hang out. There's good peeps there. All right, so I'm Lindsay Badger. You can find me LR Badger all over the social media. If you want to find out my art, is Badger Makes is the handle there as well. You can find PopX on Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, at the handle at PopXcast. And you can send any comments and suggestions to us via email at popxcast@gmail.com. And also for all the future shows and past shows, make sure you go to our official website, www.popxcast.com.
Indeed. And I am Joseph Burke at Joseph Burke Arts all over social media. Of course, hats off to Team PopX this week. Mike Ippolito, we missed you in the window.
Yes, we did.
But good luck on helping your mother move down here to Orlando. I'm so excited for her and her next chapter. That's awesome. And I'm so glad that you left Atlanta to come down here and be with your mom. That's awesome. So good stuff there. And that's it for this episode of PopXcast. My gosh, what an episode it was. And we'll see you next time on number 125 as we unpack Sweet Tooth and John Hughes' The Breakfast Club. I just finished Sweet Tooth this week. Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's going to be another
what
fun,
a show.
packed episode coming up next time. You guys got to make sure you tune in.
What a show. I mean, Sweet Tooth is amazing. I mean, I can't talk enough about it. It's
just save it.
It's like the never-ending story meets some kind of like dark Nazi tale of weirdness. It's crazy. Oh, and we're done. We're done. Thanks for listening to PopXcast. As you're enjoying listening or viewing our shows, please consider clicking on the subscribe button to our feed and click the get notifications buttons so you don't miss out on great future content. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/PopXcast, and on Instagram at PopXcast. And be sure to drop us an email anytime at popxcast@gmail.com. For more great content, check out the Creative Multiverse, where science, art, and imagination come together with artistic talents. The Creative Multiverse can be found on Facebook groups under the same name. We'll see you next time. Get your geek on.